Jimmy, we'll roll on now to the Rotary.
Yep.
So this is where the money gets made, I suppose, or collected.
Yeah.
So this is your approach, so to
This
the
is
collecting
approach,
yard.
yeah. So we can come into the yard two ways. We can either come this way, or we can access it. So if we got cows grazing that side of the farm,
Yeah.
it's often quite easy just to bring them in through that gate, or over the road where we were earlier. And we will use these two gates. One's got a motor drive on it.
Yeah.
The other is like a fixed gate, and he will literally just run. We swing him either way, so we can effectively have both herds in there at the same time. They don't all fit in here. We have to use extra yard space, but we can use that as a way to keep it simple for one person milking. Use the drafting gate. We can send cows up through into the cubicle shed quite easily, so it does literally simplify it so that one person effectively could milk all the cows on their own. Send all the autumn cows up to one way. They don't need somebody for the changeover, the herd changeover. They just wait for the gap to come around, let the rope go, and then effectively it's just quick, simple, easy.
Do you like round yards, collecting yards?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I think that the cows do come in. You get a nice flow coming around with a cow.
Yeah.
The backing gates are so much better on a round yard.
Yeah.
In a square yard, you have two sets of motors and they just get out of alignment. In a round yard, you have one motor and it just basically can't go wrong.
Yeah.
They're just a bit fiddly to build, and they're a bit fiddly if you want to roof them. But they're otherwise fantastic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you clean it then with a tractor again, do you?
Yeah.
Once a day or?
Twice a day.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. Maybe once a day once we're sort of just got a few spring cows. You know, if we're only milking the springs, then perhaps we don't have quite such a drive for the slurry. So yeah.
So you've that extra bit of shelter then, I suppose you've that extra column there.
That was just the beef shed was this big, and I guess they started at the front, put the bulk tank room in.
So this was a beef shed?
Yeah, this was a beef unit with a feed passage.
Yeah.
It is quite handy because if you've got your cows sort of preferentially come under here because it's undercover, especially on a rainy day, you don't actually need to use the backing gate that much. If you just sort of run it around about halfway, all the cows will naturally flow down to the parlour.
Yeah.
It's an old, so there are fancier parlours in the UK than this one, definitely. But for its age, I think it's amazing.
It's old but gold.
Old but gold.
Old but gold.
Just like us, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
So it's a Waikato.
It's Waikato plant. It's a dispatch and garlic, which is a New Zealand firm. It's dispatch and garlic stall working platform.
Okay. Yeah.
It's basically mostly original. In 2000, so just before COVID, we redid the I-beam, put in new drive motors and new stands and rollers, and then we added the ACRs and the auto teat spray.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's I mean, that sounds like we've done loads, but it just after 20 years, crikey, there's some parts to change.
It was a bit tired, wasn't it? That was.
And we were trying to just make it a one-man or lady, one-man milking, basically. The goal was if the cows are grazing, one person can milk the cows.
Okay, and that's the way you roll?
That's the way we roll.
Okay.
Yeah, so if the cows are housed, we'll have two, because one person wipes and one person cups. But when the cows are grazing and relatively clean, then one person is fine.
So at the minute, afternoon milkings is sort of a one-man gig, and you have one person getting cows in for them, bringing cows to the shed for them.
Yeah. So it's quite a wide entrance. Does that work, or does it create a bit of a bottleneck with people, cows trying to jam in a bit, or is it okay?
So the first half of each herd is pretty motivated to get on. So this can be like quite a busy area for the first half of each herd, but then it's fine.
The only time it really becomes taxing is heifer training.
Yeah, heifer can turn and beat you quite nicely here.
Yeah.
Jimmy's agile though, so he's
Fast.
Yeah. So how many units?
50 point.
50 point.
Yeah.
Should we go down the road?
Yeah.
And again, as you say, George, in 2001, it was a fine unit, and
Amazing.
it still is.
We've just run
Still
it
doing the job.
It's called sweating it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So what sort of teat preparation happens?
When we're housed, it's like a wet wipe, basically. So one person using kind of disposable wet wipes. They do a pretty good job. It's harder to keep low back scans when the cows are housed. We definitely see that, but the pipes do a pretty good job. They do a pretty good job.
So all your cake then, your concentrate is fed here?
Yeah, so all cake feeding is in the parlour. Nothing, well, rate meal in the maze, but other than that, nothing is fed outside. There's no feed to yield. We can with a switch between the two herds, we can adjust the level each herd is being fed. But other than that, it's all flat rate feeding for each herd.
Yeah. So behind you here, it's an office, is it, or?
Yeah, little office, and then a handy whiteboard for just recording bits and bobs that we're wanting milking guys to keep an eye on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice list of cull cows that we were sorting out, so an excellent thing to look at. But yeah, basically simple. The hope is that we're just trying to make it simple.
Yeah.
It's not fancy, it's just functional.
Yeah.
And if you're, all we've done is talk about return on capital, but if you're paying return on capital, you just need functional, right? We don't want fancy. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So these are quite cool. So it's all Waikato rubberware.
Yeah.
Except for there's 2 units. There's a local company called Silicone, which are a silicon manufacturing company, and we've just been trialing some of their shells and liners. So if rubber ones you have to change every 2,500 milkings, the silicone ones in theory do 8,000 or 9,000. So we're just trialing them to see they're incredibly light. How into it are you? So if you feel it's a normal one,
A toy one.
The rest of the silicone
Yeah,
ones,
it's a
they're
huge difference.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're quite cool. Some of the guys prefer them, some of us prefer the other ones, but I think it's just what we get used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Do you notice anything different with the cow on it? Is she happier or not, or is it hard to say?
She's too busy eating the cake.
Yeah.
She hasn't got time to think about.
I'd say that because you've lost the weight in it, it probably takes some of the cows longer to milk out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see more cows coming around with a silicone unit on. But no, they're pretty bob on.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Your milk meters?
Yeah, so we milk record monthly. That is a requirement of our milk buyer.
Why do they want that, say, as opposed to quarterly?
Good question. We're just on a premium contract that requires more data. To be fair, I think even if we didn't have to do that, we probably still would. It's the only chance that we have to actually understand who are the good cows. And our whole business is built on trying to have good cows. So it's a little bit of a faff setting it up. But I often think that once we're into it, the actual process isn't as bad.
It's never as bad as you think it was going to be. You always make it up in your head that it's going to be
Yeah.
the most awful milking of the month. But
And there's not that much that we do as a whole team. It's like milk recording and TB testing are the only things that we all do together.
Gets you together.
Yeah, so it's actually, it's not horrendous.
Are they set up here or inside?
They just clip on.
Yeah, okay.
They just clip onto the stoolwork.
Yeah.
Same number of people milking, and then we just have one person taking numbers and yields and a couple of people doing the pots. It actually doesn't really slow milking down. It just...
I think the worst bit's sorting the pots at the end of that.
Yeah.
When we're at the strength we're at the minute, when you're doing 600, it's a bit of a chore in it. But
Yeah, exactly.
you just need somebody organised.
It's just a lot of it's a lot of animal. It's a reasonable number of animals. It's a reasonable number of pots.
Yeah.
It is a big job.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works well.
Good.
And then we're just in the corner. A rotary is good because you get corners. So office, and then we have a tea room, and then tank rooms and stuff further around.
So you were saying you get your team together in the morning for breakfast. Does that happen here, or who's on breakfast?
Here. So I don't know. That's always been the case. Everyone stops and has breakfast together, which I think is really important for team dynamics. I think that's really important. And then we have a thing. If we have 10 cows calve, then I buy breakfast. So.
Don't worry.
Is it any good, Jimmy?
Sometimes.
We've
had some pretty. No.
There's a McDonald's quite close, and there's a nice little farm shop if we want to get something better.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing is, with the springs, because we only calve 220 springs, 10 cows is actually quite a lot in the spring. You don't get loads of breakfast. In the autumn, 400 cows, you get
Make them
you
sweat
get
then.
sick of bacon rolls.
Average it out.
I think I've got 3 in credit that I need to.
Yeah. What if you don't look okay anyway? You don't have much signs of bacon rolls on you anyway.
No.
Make them work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's all
Okay,
about
so
sweating.
just on the washing then of the plant here, there's 2 pipes.
Go on,
So,
Jim.
so is the wash line split in two, or what's going on here?
Yeah, so effectively the wash line goes around, I think it does join at the other end, but it effectively goes round either way.
Yeah.
And then you've got these set screws, and they are like preset, so they're like wound in more at this end, so they're wound right in tight, so it doesn't pull so much. And then at the far end, the screws are wound right out to give it more vacuum effectively, so pull the same amount of wash water as it is this side.
Okay.
So as you go around, they should all
Be even.
gradually work their way out till you get to the far end.
For a parlour of its age, it's it's actually touched everything wooden. It's not too bad to operate and run.
Yeah.
Like, I guess my concern coming here was that a 20-year-old rotary might just be an absolute minefield in repairs.
Yeah.
But because the core of it is quite simple, it's actually, touch wood, not been too bad.
What's the third pipe then, Jimmy?
That's for our teat dip.
Okay.
So we've effectively got the same tank as that inside the ring, and we will pre-mix and fill that tank, and then every 2 to 3 days, depends how many cows we're milking, we'll plug that in, clip them on, and fill up the one in the side. It's got a pretty good way of telling you can just hear it.
How do you find it as a method of teat spray onto cows? Is it effective? Or?
Reasonably.
So when we've had the vets come out and look at it, it's about 80% or 85% effect. Like
It's only really heifers that you get an issue with when they're a bit
Okay.
shorter, and sometimes they bunch themselves right up the front. That's the time that they'll get a miss.
Exactly. So lots of automation is not perfect, and it's just a compromise, isn't it? But I think compared to the benefit of freeing up a person to do other things, like that feels like a huge benefit. Interestingly, like when we put this automation in to take a person out of milking, we didn't get rid of any people, we just did other stuff.
Yeah.
That has effectively saved us money elsewhere. It's been simple things, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not been anything drastic, but we've allowed ourselves to do more of our own bale hauling, things like that. Things that we pay a contractor to do, we sort of keep a bit more in-house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But not anything groundbreaking.
Keeping on top of grass quality, just
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the priority things really, isn't it?
General maintenance on this, do you do it yourselves, or do you have to get somebody in?
We can change liners, but
Yeah.
beyond that, we're, little bits.
Yeah, changing liners and a bit of grease under that's about it really.
Yeah.
It's just mechanical stuff. Electrical stuff is the thing that gets tricky, so
Yeah.
we generally avoid. But yeah, the mechanical stuff's not so bad.
So your vet platform, what do you do with this?
That's our vet stand. We'll use that for breeding. We'll have that. He's curved, so he fits nicely with the. So you have him up against here, and we'll use it for tail painting, pulling cows out. You've got the rope here.
Yeah.
Because we're into our technology.
This is our automatic drafting gate.
Okay, very fancy.
Yeah.
Jimmy welded that bar on himself, actually, to be fair.
Okay. Yeah.
It's about as technical as it gets around here. So we'll use this mostly for breeding, really, and it just comes in handy if we need to do the occasional vet check, scanning, anything like that. It all gets done on the move.
AI, does that happen here, or do you take it outside?
Interestingly, we do that in a little herringbone race. Because we have the two herds, we'll milk the herd that we're serving first, so they're done milking quite early, so we can be the first. So we have a tech do all our AI. So by being done quite early, we can have a tech come in and us be first on the round. So yeah, we basically put them into a race. I just hate the thought of bulling cows waiting for a tech to arrive. So by making sure we're first, it means we're never waiting if a neighbouring farmer's slowing things down. So,
Okay.
We're the ones slowing them down.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
So what's the reality of that then, time-wise, getting up in the morning or milking? And
No, so milking, we start like 5:30, we start in the mornings. But even at, like if the bigger herd of the autumns, like the tech can be here at 7, 6:45, we'll have plenty of bulling cows then, and the bigger herd of autumns is done by 7:15. So it's way better being the first farm on an AI run.
Okay.
Like, you don't want anything else other than to be the first one. Our tech once told us that we weren't going to be the first farm, and I just flat out said that is not going to work. so we just,
Okay.
We used to, when we were just one herd and everything was being served, we'd put them back onto the rotary at the end. But yeah, with the two herds, we can have cows ready to go.
Yes.
But the beautiful thing about that is by 8 o'clock the latest, all your serving's done.
Yeah.
You just sort of forget about it. Whereas if you've got to, you know, wait to the end of milking, load them all back up, you're getting
Yeah.
Drags on.
it drags
Cleaning
on each
places
into the
again,
day.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like with this, it's quick, efficient, done. Forgotten about. We go on and do something else the rest of the day, don't we?
Exactly. The only challenge is that like rotary cows that don't touch each other when they're milking don't love bunching up in herringbone race, but that's life.
Can you give us a demo of your drafting gate, Jimmy?
Oh,
Is that possible, or how it even moves?
I think he's tied up.
He's tied up
He's
over
tied
there.
up
Yeah.
at the minute. Let me just come past you. I'll just go and untie him.
It's quite technical because you can do it from either cups on or cups off. That's how advanced we are.
Yeah.
And
So
obviously
it is
starts
set currently now. We would typically milk like the autumn cows, put them up through the race because we can put them through the top of the cubicle shed, and we'll just tie it up. And it is just literally as simple as shut that, go
Yeah.
back to milking.
And you can basically, so we wanted it so you could, from cups on, you could draft a cow, or
Yeah.
from the vet stand, you could draft a cow. So it's just one long rope,
Yeah.
and you can just intervene anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the spring is giving you the
Yeah.
pullback, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
We have looked at like auto drafting, and like there's quite good wearable technology, isn't there, for cows for like heat detection and drafting, but it's just tricky to justify the cost. I think currently we've
Yeah.
got a team that likes breeding and likes doing the heat detection and likes getting involved in that.
It's the sort of thing, once you start spending money, you have to keep buying the next thing, don't you? Because you need then EID, and then you could do this, and then you could do feed to yield. And it's like, where do you stop? Where do you draw that line financially?
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice to
Pretty
have
low
it.
we draw the line.
It's not in the budget.
Okay, so your AI race is there.
Yeah,
That's it there.
so just this is the drafting pen, and then a little AI race.
Yeah.
We can do about 10 cows. We can maybe we can see this later on once
Yeah.
we're milking, and
Fair.
we're hopefully not loading cows on a lorry.
Perfect. So, Arl is your milk buyer.
Parlor's the milk buyer,
Yeah.
and then we're on their premium care, it's called, is their premium Parlor. There's a little bit of compliance stuff that we do for it. So we were doing grazing anyway. So yeah, the Parlor are mega. They're
Yeah.
fantastic for us.
Yeah. So, what's your milk ending up in? Or what's it made into?
It's going to Aylesbury, so a big factory at Aylesbury, and it's going mostly into like branded products, so Cravendale, things like that. If this doesn't go to Aylesbury, it will go to Westbury, and then Westbury's a butter factory making Anchor butter. So 28,000 litre bulk tank, that's been in for 25 years now.
Yeah.
It's George's current life goal to try and overflow it.
So we are now overflowing it, but we're getting collected twice to stop that happening.
Yeah.
So,
Twice in.
every other day.
Okay,
Yeah, crikey,
yeah.
we're not that good.
Yeah.
So every other day collection. But that works relatively well.
Good. So, big plate cooler then.
Big plate cooler, big milk filter. We like an area of investment that would be handy would be in an ice bank, just to help drop milk temperatures quicker. But again, probably quite hard to justify. Quite hard to justify. Back scan is good enough without it. Yeah.
Good. So, your wash up area.
Yeah, so a level of automation that we do have is in an auto wash. So just a few buttons and sets the wash off.
Yeah.
Not particularly fancy,
No.
but relatively
Says-
functional.
Yeah.
Has it always been there? Or did you put it in?
I would not put in that.
No.
Yeah.
I remember when you first come, there was talk about taking it out, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It survived.
survived just by the skin of its teeth.
It's only malfunctioned once, so currently it's doing okay.
And the tank is quite small, relatively speaking, is it? Or is it obviously it does the job?
Yeah, good. Fair comment. Fair comment.
Yeah.
Supposedly that's the right volume for the Parlor, though, isn't it? Because
think
we
so.
had measured it.
Yeah, I think so.
So, how are you heating your water? Electric?
Massive electric horse tank. So when we look at our electric use, actually, so quite into this, when we look at our electric use, there's 3 big spikes. There's 2 spikes at milking, and then at midnight we heat hot water. There's a massive electric spike at midnight.
Yeah.
It's milk cooling and heating water. That is what uses the electric.
Yeah.
Milking itself is reasonably demanding, running the pumps and motors.
Yeah.
But the big drains on electric are cooling milk and heating water.
Have you looked at solar?
We have looked at solar, so the roofs on our buildings all run north-south, so the roof angles are wrong. We can't do winds because we're right next to the national park. Yeah, if we were to do anything, it'd be solar. It stacked up when electric prices were really high a couple of years ago. Things have just changed. Yeah. We'd happily look at the estate generally as like very environmentally and sustainability minded.
Yeah.
It just doesn't currently stack up.
Right.
Yeah. There's probably other bigger investment priorities.
Yeah.
We want to invest in storage first, and then we'll look at detail after that, I guess.
Yeah. Good.
Like on a dairy farm, there is always a demand to spend money, isn't
Yeah.
there? Like that is just dairy farming. We always are spending and reinvesting, and it's just about being quite careful about prioritising, I suppose.
Yes.
That's really boring, isn't it? But that is just how it works.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the benefit of the relationship you have with a landowner and a tenant.
Yeah.
Both are very focused on it.
Yeah. But and I suppose that's really helped. So that's why a contract farm agreement is strong, is because it aligns our interests, doesn't it? Like it's not like in a tenancy, the landlord and tenant can lock heads a bit because they have slightly contradictory goals.
Yeah.
In a contract farm agreement, I suppose the hope is that these things are kind of carefully aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Nice.